If you are considering buying a Bluetooth controller or gamepad for your Gear VR to augment your experience and have taken a look at Samsung's website, you will notice they sell the original Samsung gamepad model EIGP20. This is a very good product that has more uses like any other Bluetooth controller other than for Gear VR gaming. It has an extendable, retractable top arm that will hold your phone in place to play mobile games, and surprisingly it holds the Note 4 pretty well. It is however not cheap, as it is an original Samsung product. So in this video, I'll give you the comparisons of a few other choices that range in price and have a totally different feel. First up, just to mention, there are several Bluetooth gaming controllers you could get online. The ones I've gotten so far are from China, which includes postage and handling. You could get something like these for well under $30 US. And for under $10, you could get these. The first controller I'll review is the Samsung gamepad, coming in at between $60 all the way up to $180 US if you are sourcing it online. And of course $180 is a ludicrous price, but it seems very difficult to secure one from the store itself. Samsung used to sell this item directly from their online store in all countries, but not anymore. It feels very comfortable in the hands. It doesn't have a cross-directional control, but a low-slung directional joystick. It can be used to play non-VR games like all the other controllers, but the extendable arm is the bonus. The only downside is the directional and action buttons. They have a slight delay, which you won't notice so much unless you have tried a different controller. Next up is the NES 30 replica Bluetooth controller, which comes in at about 30 to 40 USD. The cool thing about this controller is when I ran comparison of it in the game Hero Bound on Gear VR, the Gear auto detected that it was a different controller and it displayed the buttons A, B and X accordingly on the startup page, as opposed to the Samsung's 1. 2. 3. and 4. and so on. The NES controller rocks the classical directional button that damages your thumbs for games like Street Fighter. However, while testing it on Hero Bound, it is the smoothest and most responsive gamepad so far. And because the buttons have a more robust feeling and a mechanical depth to it, I suppose the 2015 term for it is organic. The only downside is the L1, R1 buttons, which has never been part of the original NES design, is far better suited on the later evolution, which is the Super NES. The next gamepad is the iPega controllers. You've got the iPega 9025 or the iPega 9028. I'll be reviewing the iPega 9028. And the only difference between the two is that the 9028 model we're reviewing has a trackpad center in the middle, much like the PS4 controllers, for mouse action and so on. The iPega 9028 comes in about $30 or less, depending on the seller in US dollars, delivered to your door. Much like the Samsung gamepad, it has an extendable retractable arm to hold your phone in place for playing games. However, if you have a Galaxy Note 4, it is a mission to put in, almost snapping the iPega arm itself, where the Samsung falls easily into place. Its build quality is a cheaper, light material. However, the joystick is the main directional controller and is very smooth and very responsive. The device itself has a silicone coating, which feels very nice in the hands. The only complaint is that the priority buttons for L1 and L2 are hidden under and behind the controller instead of the immediate triggers where your index fingers are. For some other games like emulators, these are customizable, but for VR, it is not. Now for the PS3, PS4 controllers. Much the same, but we'll take a look at the PS4 controller here. One of the most common household device due to its huge global sales of almost 40 million to date, it would be logical to use something you already have as a controller, and at about $60 US, it's premium. So you would imagine a good gaming experience. However, that said, it is the slowest, most delayed controller I've used for the Gear VR. So the lag is a definite buzzkill. If you're looking at a cheap alternative and you already have a PS4, this will do, but if not, don't get this. Finally, There are a bunch of tiny Bluetooth game controllers on the market from China, and they're pretty generic. They look like this or thereabouts and are between $4 US to $7 with free shipping. It even has a loop to add a keyring. They work just as well and pretty responsive. Oddly enough, the default configuration is reverse for the directional keypad. So unless you are left-handed and prefer the directional control on your right-hand side, up is down, down is up. It is pretty small, it's portable, it's cheap, and has a long battery life.